Yeah, I think you hit on some key things there. And the biggest for me, obviously, it all comes down to just taking that action and getting some runs on the board and just doing something. You can, I think that's the real key. And you did mention stuff like monitoring your keywords and for people who are looking for a way to do that, and we'll talk a little bit about Market Samurai, but I know within Market Samurai there's the rank tracker, which is a really good way for keeping on top of what rankings you're getting for particular keywords that you're targeting. In addition to, the social bookmarking and the RSS submission, what sort of other link building mechanisms do you go after?
For me, I call it, I think that's level 1 link building. Level 2 link building is, when you are seeing some positive results, again, you don't want to overinvest in the market. If you've done a little bit of work and you're just not seeing anything positive at all, then you might want to consider whether you want to, you move on or not. And, it depends on, what your understanding of that market is, of course. So the next thing I would do is move into leveraged link acquisition. And, there's a few solutions out there where, you can acquire hundreds, if not thousands of backlinks, but certainly hundreds from a variety of different sources, very, very quickly, essentially using article marketing or content syndication, methods. So, the two that I use, Mark Lindsay's article marketing automation, which is ridiculously cheap for what you get.
Yeah, great service.
And Unique Article Wizard as well as a big syndication network. And so they're two services which, if by crafting an article from the perspective of getting other people to publish that content on their site, you can get a whole lot of links back to your site. But the trick is actually understanding how to use those links to your best advantage, and having a linking strategy that's going to work for you. There's a lot of people that use it very poorly and just use it just to spam a whole lot of stuff out there. But if you put the work in, and particularly if you write properly spun content and all that sort of stuff, then you can, for very, very little effort, get a big result. And in most cases, and for most keywords, you're going to do very well using those solutions.
What are your thoughts on, let's say you've got a primary money site that you're looking to promote, using some of those services which could be argued to be somewhat grey hat? Is that something that you try and distance, or?
I think, I talked earlier about acquiring assets, and, I think the greatest asset that people, if they're going to be playing in the SEO space, can do is build up their own network of websites that have page rank, that have good authority and good reputation. So certainly, you got to keep your money site, absolutely pristine. You might be doing a lot of these link building activities, in your content cluster, your blog network that you've got outside, and then channeling the power that you're building out there to your main site. And that's why I was saying about the link building, techniques that you use to make sure that you can do that effectively across your entire cluster of sites.
You mentioned level 2 being leveraged. Do you include stuff like your e-zine articles and those sort of more Web 2.0, not that you'd call e-zine Web 2.0, but even like your Skidoo and hub pages and all that? Do you include that as part of that level, or is that like level 3, or? Well,
I think, again, it boils down to return on time.
Yeah.
So, it takes time to write that content. If you write your content correctly for content syndication, then you can take a unique spun version of of that content which you're going to syndicate anyway, and submit it to e-zine articles first, because they need to have unique content on their site. So they'll do a due content check first, wait till it's accepted by e-zine articles, and then after that's finished, then go and syndicate a version or spun version of that content, using some of those syndication platforms that we talked about before, and doing the same with Skidoo and all the different Web 2.0 properties. And that's certainly a super effective solution. But again, you got to look at the time goes into that as well. So, again, like if, you want to take an action and then see positive feedback before going back and investing further in it. And there are some solutions I know to build up, leveraged Web 2.0 properties and submissions, but a lot of them are very spammy, and I don't personally use any of them.
Yeah, and you mentioned with those sort of like AMA and unique article wizard as well, spinning of the content and then getting that out from a point of trying to get that out as high a quality as possible. I know that's something that we've had in the past a lot of trouble outsourcing, just for, you really do need to teach people how to use the system. They need to understand the way, the linking methodology works, so they're shooting deep links in, and they're also shooting links off to other articles and things like that, your promoting pages to sort of, promote the promoting pages. Do you have any tips on sort of the spinning side of things?
Okay. Yes, a couple of things. There are some automated solutions out there. Most, like 99.999% of them are rubbish.
Oh, actually, I was about to say one, but maybe I won't now. Just.
So, but there is there's at least one that I know of that's quite good. Probably no secrets. One called Content Boss, which does a pretty good job, from an automated solution. And we're looking to actually integrate that with our tool very shortly, because number one, look, one of the critical limiting factors for most people for SEO is, yes, you need to have a keyword and then you need to have content. And for most people, writing the content is just really, really painful. And so you're going to end up, if you're not knowledgeable about the content, you're going to outsource it.
Yeah.
But then trying to outsource that and also get a spun version of that can be very challenging. So Content Boss is one solution to that. I also know of some people, I can't really say anything at the moment because it's not released yet, but there will be some good human solutions available for writing spun articles shortly if it all pans out.
Very cool. Well, not that you can mention on the recording, but you can mention it off the recording, eh? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So we talked about some of those different methods, and then you try and the level 3 might be some of those, other really more manual. You're not necessarily getting as much leverage. We talked about a few of the different things, some or more I hinted at, like the e-zine articles, which you sort of confirmed, and where do you see sort of Web 2.0 and any other strategies?
Yeah, so I think Web 2.0 is the thing that you logically pursue, probably shortly after that leverage stuff. So, I wouldn't necessarily call it level 3, maybe level 2.5. Some of these Web 2.0, domains, they're having a lot less impact these days than they necessarily used to. While there are certainly ways out there to still find, some good sources of quality backlinks. One thing Google is on the record of saying, and is that they're actively going after sites which give links away too freely, and they can measure that, and they can see that they know what a blog is, they know what a forum is. There's now a Google forum search that they've added in, so they presumably they know what some of these Web 2.0 sites are as well, regardless of follow or no follow, and and it would make sense that they discount the value of content that's being built on their sites. Whether or not that's happening today, sure, a degree of it is, or it certainly will happen in the future. And again, from that leverage perspective, you need to make sure that what you're doing ultimately has some long-term value as well. You might use some things which are classified in the grey hat thing today, but you need to fundamentally be providing value out there and playing within in the rules a bit, so that long term you gain results.